cool. I'll try. I did a video, I don't know how long ago, about LGBTQ adding on the P for pedophile. Check out my hat. And that video was basically talking about how they're trying to legalize pedophilia. Now, in the States, they're talking about legalizing 12 perversions, and how they, and again, they're not going to just come out and do it. What they're going to do is probably leading stuff. So if you're in California, it's SB 18, SB 1322, SB 277. There's aspects of that to go through, and basically some of it is about childhood prostitution, not making it illegal, that type of thing, because they're victims or whatever. But basically, it enables it, and stuff like that. Now, on this video, I made this video because I had seen the Salon interview with the guy who basically, you know, I'm a pedophile, not a monster. That guy. Well, that guy actually commented on my video, and I was referring to him. I don't know what his name is, whatever it is, whatever. And I read the comment, and I was just like, he said, basically, it's a sexual preference, you should check out my channel, yada, yada, whatever. And I went on, I saw the guy's picture right away, and on his banner, he's got like 2 children. Very disturbing. So, I didn't know how to respond to this, and it's like, I didn't want to respond to it, but I'm like, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to have to. So, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm not making any threats or anything, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. Years ago, there was a little dog running around my town, and it had rabies. It nearly bit a few people, nearly bit my cousin, that type of thing. It was all mangy looking, it frothed around the mouth, eyes were pretty glazed over. He would be twitching every now and then, and I knew what had to be done. Not because what you wanted to do, but because if you didn't do it, that rabies would, we've had rabies epidemics up here before, and with raccoons and stuff like that. And that can transfer to humans and all that. So anyway, one day the dog was under my step. I had to go out and get him. You can figure out what the rest happened. And you know how much I love dogs, so yeah, it was horrible. So anyway, the thing is it had to be done because that sickness couldn't be let out. You have to contain it, and there's no cure for it. Now, that said, let's get back to virtuous pedophile here. Well, first off, it's not virtuous. There's nothing virtuous about that. It is not a normal thing. To try to normalize it, you're trying to push your sickness on everybody else. And if you can get away from society and just leave society, go somewhere where you're not around children, just get away from society, then you'd be doing humanity a favor. And you'd be doing humanity a favor, and you'd even probably be doing yourself a favor. Because the children, they don't know, they don't know about these dangers. And the thing is the innocence of a child, I think, is the most precious thing. And this hypersexualization of the LGBTQ community in the schools worries me, because this is what they're buttering it up for, so that they could basically have legal child prostitutes in the streets. Now, if you can't see how bad that is, that just tells me how sick you are. Now, that said, maybe someday they'll find a cure for this thing. But till that time, get away from society. Leave the children alone. Go off, crawl under a rock, do whatever. Just get away. That said, the punishment that should be there for you, should you act on your impulses, well, I'll just leave it at that. Because the way I look at it, maybe you're not satanic, but it is satanic primalism, I guess you would say, where you give into every whim or whatever. If you're actually a person who has, wants to be a better person, you have to rise above your impulses. And you have to rise high above your impulses. And yes, you do have to understand morality is not completely subjective. There is taboos. There is things that should not be done in society. And if you can't distinguish between that, then you need to look at it, if you really want to do the right thing. I mean, I don't know you as a human being or as a person. You might be the nicest person on the planet. Fine, whatever. But If you have any sort of inclination of morality, then you know you have to isolate yourself from society. The same way a leper will go and live in a cave. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot risk that infection getting out. That said, the fact that you're trying to normalize it, to remove the stigma of it, is a problem. That is a problem. That is not a solution. That is a problem. The idea, and I get it, the progressive lefties tend to gravitate towards this stuff, degeneracy and stuff like that. They tend to think it is a noble cause, but it is not a noble cause. And it is a horrible cause. You should be out there saying, no, I understand what these people are going through, sure, fine, great and dandy, and I can tell you how dangerous it is, and stuff like that. And you should be out there telling people, don't let them into your community. If you find there's a pedophile in your community, don't let them into your community. It should be shunned. It should be persecuted. It should be stigmatized. Why? Because if we don't have a cure for it, like rabies, if we don't have a cure for it, But then there's the other aspect of it, like the dog with the rabies. If you just let the rabies run its course, it's a brutal, brutal end for that dog. It is very brutal, extremely brutal. That type of thing. Now, that said, dealing with your impulses, is not the same as rabies. So the solution for rabies and the solution for these bad impulses, what you consider a sexuality, which is not, it's just perversion. I would say this, is that isolation is your best friend. And that said, too, people out there, people like me, for example, I've got relatives and stuff like that, I have little kids and stuff like that. I don't know what I'd do if I heard something bad happen to them. You know what I mean? And I do know some people that I went to school with who were abused as children and stuff like that. And the amount of psychological damage you do. Now, maybe, just maybe, and I'm just speculating here because I don't know, that happened to you when you were a kid. Well, if somebody did that to you when you were a kid, you were a victim, sure. But you got to end the cycle. I know alcoholic children, or alcoholics, their children usually end up becoming alcoholics. Drug addicts, their kids tend to become drug addicts. I get that. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But it's, you can break that. You can break that. I would be looking for better solutions than what you're trying to do. And the people that are supporting you, shame on them. Shame on them. So far, I think New York Times has come out with a virtuous pedophile article, and Salon magazine, they did the interview on YouTube with this guy, or podcast or whatever. And I watched bits and clips of it, of other people commenting on it. And I'm just like, no. And then, of course, right now we have the big thing with Pizzagate, which it's kind of funny how, not to throw Donald Trump into this, but how quickly CNN picked up on that hooker story from Donald Trump. Putin was out there saying, yeah, it's completely unbelievable. A guy, the story's not even believable, and it wasn't, with the golden showers and all that. And, okay, there are people that have those kind of fetishes, but that's between consenting adults. It's sick, sure, fine. People wear baby diapers, sure, fine. What you do behind closed doors is, I don't give a shit. But most people don't. But when it comes to children, that's a different, there is an innocence there that you are destroying. And if you have any love for humanity whatsoever, you don't destroy children for your own selfish, sick, very low primal. Again, if it has to be, there is no debate here. There is no debate on the morality here. That, well, it's subjective. It is not subjective. You are lowering yourself to a primal state, like Satanists do. And again, I'm not a deeply religious person. It's just, I look at how all these different things function. And that's what it is, give in to any whim you want. Well, no, rise above that. So I doubt I'd get through to a guy like you. But all I'll say is that, leave the children alone. Just leave the children alone. There is no reason you should be trying to legalize this. There is no reason for you to be trying to destigmatize this. It is the worst thing you could possibly do as a human being. One of the worst things, for sure. And whether you acted on it or not, it's just the idea that, you want to. And that's the part that scares the crap out of me. I mean, people now, like when I was a kid, there's always been pedophiles in history. There's no doubt about that. But when I was a kid, I mean, even in the city, a lot of time you could leave your door unlocked. You can't do that now. Children disappear all the time, and it's because of monsters like you. And the amount of pain and anguish you cause the families for your little, to get off. Like, I mean, it's, again, the punishment that should be for you guys, if it can't be cured, I mean, again, I'm a firm believer of rule of law and everything like that. Day in court, sure. But if it can't be cured, you can't let it spread. That's about all I can really say about it. If it can't be cured, you can't let it spread. So, isolation, if you act on it, I'm okay with the firing squad, guillotine, big-ass clunking hammer. You get your day in court, but if you're found guilty, therapy, you've missed that bus. That ship has sailed. Now's the time when you will get therapy. Now's the time when you try to get away from that. It is the taboo that, taboos are not something that, the way they're the left puts out taboos now, it's just something that hasn't been legalized yet. It's not accepted yet. No, this should never be accepted. And I think most people will never accept this. And that's something you need to understand now. What you're doing it's just horrible. Like, it's just horrible. To try to legalize, to try to destigmatize, to try to take something so horrible and try to make it normal, you need help. You need lots of help. And the people that enable this, shame on you too. Yeah. Anyway, I do thank you for commenting. I will give you the credit that at least you not afraid to challenge. Okay, fine. But no, we're never going to see eye to eye on this one. If you were in my community and I knew about you, I'd be very, very suspicious of you. I would be telling every single person in my community about you. I would definitely have posters on the street lamps of who this man is. This man, and I would even give you the fair shake. I'd say, check out his website. I just do it this way. Check out this man's website, the Virtuous Pedophile. This man believes, Go look at it, think for yourself. He lives in your community. I wouldn't give out your direct address or anything because that's illegal and stuff like that. But people need to know. And there's been pushes like for known felons in communities that, and that's the way they used to do it. Now they're, we can't do that because it doesn't give people a second chance. No, there's no first chance on this one. Second chance, never mind a second chance. No first chance on this one. I'm going to leave it at that. I think I conducted myself quite civilly. That's about as civil as I can be. Very, 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 very disturbing. Rocking Mystery also touched on it. And I agree with him. I don't like this subject at all. But I also understand silence is the worst thing on these issues. Same with Pizzagate, same with the virtuous pedophile. These things must be spoken about because they are trying, they being the leftists, the progressives, the LGBTQ community. Look, transgenderism, I'm highly convinced that that's a mental illness, not a sexual orientation. It's a mental illness, gender dysphoria, which may have links to autism. So again, by not discussing these things, we can't find cures for it. Possibly, and I'm even open to this idea because it could save more people than not. If there's ways to identify at a young age whether somebody might become a pedophile or not, the study needs to be there. I definitely wouldn't be the man to take up the study. I'd get too mad. But the study needs to be there if we could possibly find treatment, because this is all pretty much psychological. That's the thing you need to understand. It's not like liver cancer or something like that. It's psychological. So there could be possibly a way to get therapy so that people, if they can identify themselves early, get treatment before it gets out of control. The thing I wonder is how many, if this guy's coming out and saying it, whatever, maybe that's a cry for help. Okay, well, hats off to you for doing that. Maybe like psychopaths and stuff like that, they usually want to be stopped, that type of thing. So, in that sense, that's good. How can we use that to our advantage to stop people like this before they act on it? Those type of things. The other thing I would say about it is, study it, whatever, but strike one. You don't get strike one. Strike one is, I don't think you should ever be released to society again. Isolate yourself, or, you know what, I'm willing to pay the extra taxes to keep a pedophile in jail for his entire natural life. I'm even more in favor of execution. I think you guys kind of, again, if I can't let rabies spread in my community, you got to protect your community. That's all I got to say about that. Again, I'm not threatening anybody. I'm just saying that's the way I look at it. I think it's the way a lot of people look at it. There's not really a lot of debate to have here. If you have to lower yourself to the argument of morality is subjective and sexual orientations are subjective, then you need some personal growing. And hopefully maybe there is a healing for you somewhere to make you see how bad what you're doing, even just thinking about stuff like that that's not natural, it's not normal. Hopefully maybe someday we can find a way to get rid of that. But until that time, isolation is your friend. It protects the children. It protects everybody else. Do the right thing. Remove yourself from society. I'm not saying kill yourself. I'm saying be a hermit. Go live somewhere else. Go be somewhere else. Go to an island. Just go. Next to that, everybody else, please watch over your children. Anyway, if you like this kind of commentary, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always do the right thing. And have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. I'm going to try to keep my cool. I'll try. I did a video, I don't know how long ago, about LGBTQ adding on the P for pedophile. Check out my hat. And that video was basically talking about how they're trying to legalize pedophilia. Now, in the States, they're talking about legalizing 12 perversions, and how they, and again, they're not going to just come out and do it. What they're going to do is probably leading stuff. So if you're in California, it's SB 18, SB 1322, SB 277. There's aspects of that to go through, and basically some of it is about childhood prostitution, not making it illegal, that type of thing, because they're victims or whatever. But basically, it enables it and stuff like that. Now, on this video, I made this video because I had seen the Salon interview with the guy who basically, I'm a pedophile, not a monster. That guy. Well, that guy actually commented on my video, and I was referring to him. I don't know what his name is, whatever it is, whatever. And I read the comment, and I was just like, he said, basically, it's a sexual preference, you should check out my channel, yada, yada, whatever. And I went on, I saw the guy's picture right away, and on his banner, he's got like 2 children. Very disturbing. So, I didn't know how to respond to this, and it's like, I didn't want to respond to it, but I'm like, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to have to. So, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm not making any threats or anything, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. Years ago, there was a little dog running around my town, and it had rabies. It nearly bit a few people, nearly bit my cousin, that type of thing. It was all mangy looking, it frothed around the mouth, eyes were pretty glazed over. He would be twitching every now and then, and I knew what had to be done. Not because what you wanted to do, but because if you didn't do it, that rabies would, we've had rabies epidemics up here before, and with raccoons and stuff like that. And that can transfer to humans and all that. So anyway, one day the dog was under my step. I had to go out and get him. You can figure out what the rest